I know kind of an analog to that, like pre-Tony was the same idea of like having less decay.
Mm-hmm.
Like when originally like bebop came along, a lot of the jazz drummers were taking a tom and making it a kick because it was smaller and had a shorter decay, because all of a sudden when they were having to play along with Bird,
right,
the decay was too long to like be playing kicks back to back.
Right,
at
can't be
such
as
a fast
just sound like
speed.
clear.
Yeah, it can't be like. It's got to be. It's got to be that short decay, and it was kind of the same thing of like, well, if you're going to play more, you can't have just this sort of like everything just like falling into each other. Like it has to be more individualized between the kind of segments of the drums. I feel like it's probably the same thing with the dry
It left
cymbals.
so much room for any other frequency, in that register to take over and fill up that space, And also, it's just the biggest thing is that it was so clear and it just cut through everything, and you could just hear him so well.
So did Keith Carlock change a lot, or was he just like was Keith Carlock an innovator, or was he like a perfecter?
That was a big jump.
Sorry,
you jumped like
sorry. I was
50 years, dog.
Yeah, no, you're right. I'm sorry. My like line of thought was like
not 50.
Like people often mention Keith Carlock in that era, almost in the way that some people talk about Tony Williams. Like people.
That he's like that generation.
He's like the Michael Jordan of what I mean, of like that generation of drumming in a specific way. I don't literally mean because obviously it's like Vinny.
I haven't heard that one as much. I always hear Vinny.
Yeah,
I'd say I always like what you just described. I usually hear if you just take not Keith, he's amazing.
No,
I thought Keith Carlock came. He was like a generation after all those guys, though.
After Vinny, yeah, he was.
Yeah, I don't think he was. I feel like everything. I mean, Keith has his own sound, but I feel like Vinny kind of did all of the. I mean, he had his own. They're obviously different guys, but Vinny. I don't know.
He kind of like paved the way for
like
those the Krantz regime
of like kind of players that can play like a session song player, but also have all this crazy ability to do. I mean, you hear Vinny on like a Bublé record, and it swings super hard, and then you hear him do some charisma show at the Baked Potato.
Right.
That's the right band, right?
I think so.
Yeah, with the K.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. And it's just like the most insane shit you've ever heard. And you're like, that's the same guy?
I guess I put Keith Carlock in that realm because most people I've heard talk about him always say like he can do anything. Like anything he wants to, he can do. He just has like the mind and the facility to do anything. So but he's also a guy I don't know too much about. So that's why I was asking. Like, I know he's obviously incredible, but like is he a game changer or is he just like really good? You know what I mean? Like, historically. I don't mean, like, obviously opinions aside, but, like, historically.
You're probably better equipped to.
Yeah, I don't know. Now that I'm thinking about it, I mean, I've checked out tons of Keith's playing, but I've never really taken the time to think, he is an innovator, but is he an innovator in that way?
Game changer.
Like a game
kind of like the next level.
Yeah, like allowing people to do something else.
Yeah, like
I mean, I think one of the like his biggest like quirks or things that he does is he does use that like big open bass drum sound, which is like not.
Was he bringing that back though?
Well,
you know what I mean?
That wasn't really. I mean, it's this really boingy like type of. That's not really a good word. Big open bass drum sound that wasn't. I'm trying to think about where you're thinking it could have been brought back from.
Well, maybe I'm misunderstanding.
Because with that type of music that he's playing, this was my point.
Because Bonham had a big open
right.
bass
Okay.
sound.
Yeah. But with the music that he's playing, it's like most of the stuff he's doing is like more funky, more like the guitar. Yeah. So like usually you would think you'd have drier sounds and everything, but he had that like wide open sound. That was a big thing.
I would think from that era, somebody that I would consider a game changer doesn't mean they're better or my favorite, but I would say Chris Dave because of all this, like no toms, all snares.
Yeah.
To me, that's like whether or not you like his drumming. I mean, I do, but whether or not you like his drumming, that was a truly innovative. Where everyone's just like, "What do you mean you only use snares?"
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that was a huge.
The hell are you talking about?
Yeah.
What do you mean you use a symbol that looks like a tower?
I would think
like
that
other second D'Angelo tour or whatever.
Yeah,
that big tower.
I remember hearing something that he would call Sabian and be like, "I want all your symbols that you guys like like part of the reason, and I might be totally wrong on this, but like part of the reason why like cymbals are more expensive is one, they're hand hammered. A lot of them are hand hammered, and so they're each individually crafted.
Yeah, like unique.
Yeah, and then also like there's like breakage, so like you have cymbals that break, so they gotta toss some of the material that they. So anyway, so he called and he said, "I want those cymbals that
the broken ones."
Oh,
broken
I know
ones.
which one you're. Yeah.
That's cool.
And so he started like mixing and matching these. And
Yeah, when did the stack start? Because that was like a cool thing.
Oh,
Like
I
when
don't know.
when I was in
Never thought about
college,
that.
was like the first time I'd ever heard of it. But every drummer I knew was talking about it. Everybody's like, "Oh yeah, you gotta have a stack. You gotta have a stack. You put your stack over here and you crash on your stack.
Yeah.
Like whatever." But I was like, and I was just like,
you
okay,
gotta have a stack.
God. But I mean, if you think about it, even Boba Jam, the majority of the drummers I've seen at Boba Jam, most of those drummers play with a stack, at least one.
Yeah, probably.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
I've been paying attention.
I have. No.
Because
But
you gotta have a
you
stack.
gotta have
There's
a
one thing
stack,
I learned in LA.
dude.
You gotta have.
I'm gonna
a
tell
stack.
every drummer that plays Boba Jam from now on, like, you gotta have a stack,
Honestly,
dude.
they'll probably reply in like a very like zealous way and be like, "Oh, trust me."
Dude, you haven't seen my stack yet.
And they're all
Bro, listen.
They're all
They're
from
all like
Philly
have
and
like a
Brooklyn
terrible
and-
like
yeah.
fake Eastern like East like I just am doing like general East Coast accent. Hey, dude, you gotta have a stack.
Gotta have a stack. Anyway,
I think if I can offer my opinion on as a non-drummer,
Sure.
Yeah.
I've always thought of Keith as just a really great drummer that had little things that he did that differentiated him and he has his sound.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't put him on the like game changer
Sure.
thing where you're just like.
What
And
he
it
did was
doesn't even
never
mean
been
you
done
need to
before.
be a game changer to be
No,
like
no,
one
yeah.
of the best players.
No.
But like I would think of Chris Dave once again as like a game changer where it's like that. I mean, you could even say that like Travis Barker was a game changer as far as like the way that people
that
set
world.
their snare drum,
Sure.
like that low tilted back. It doesn't mean that he's on the same vein as like a Chris Dave, but I mean like as far as like culturally, it had a big effect
Totally.
on.
Well, and
on
also
people.
like being a game changer isn't necessarily about how good you are as much as like how good you are in a specific time and place, right?
Yeah, and your
'Cause it's
sort of
about- 'cause it's
cultural
about
effect.
influence.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Hendrix is. I always like he's like the example of like Hendrix changed everything for guitar.
Mm-hmm.
He just did, and like he's always the example I go back to of like what is a game changer.
Yeah.
Him,
Right.
you know.
But you gotta think like if he was doing those same things in jazz instead of like rock popular